All right guys, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set up this Encore wall. This first section here is a bi-parting single panel wall. So each panel operates individually, and you're going to set the first panel up to this actuator up here. All right, so we're going to grab the first panel. So you make your way to the middle. The top seal is going to hit this actuator and engage the top seal. As soon as the top seal is engaged, you engage the bottom seal, and you're going to put your crank handle in this hole right here. Go counterclockwise until the bottom seal hits the ground. As soon as it hits the ground, you don't have to over crank it. All right, so this next panel is the pass door panel. So we're going to pull the pass door panel out. The top seal will engage against the back of the first panel. And once you have that set in place, we're going to end up coming back to this panel. This last panel in this run here is the expander panel. And one thing that's different about this one is the top seal is pointed in a different direction, and you pull the panel out differently than you pull the rest of the panels out. The good news is the trolleys have diverters instead of the track, so you can't do it the wrong way. Once you get the panel set up here, push it into this one, and this top hole in the face of the panel will begin to crank out your expander nose. Once your expander nose is fully cranked, you're going to crank the bottom seal. It's important that you crank the nose first before you do the bottom seal, otherwise it'll drag the bottom seal as you crank the expander nose out. Now that this first section's set up, we're going to move over to this next one. It's going to operate just like this one did. Now that the whole wall's set up, we're going to go back to the pass door panels and set the bottom seals on each pass door panel. So there's a crank location in the leg of each side of the door. So we're going to go ahead and crank that down. Just crank it down until it hits the bottom. Now that these two legs are cranked down, you're going to crank down the door. Once this is set the first time, you won't have to go back and reset it. There's actually a plunger on the bottom of the door. So once the door shuts, it's going to drop the bottom seal closer to the ground. So this is a paired panel wall. Unlike the single panel wall, these panels are hinged together. And you'll operate two panels at a time as opposed to one. Once you get the first pair set up and the top seal engages, you're going to go back to the crank location in the back of the panel, and this will operate both bottom seals at once. The next couple panels will operate the same way. Top seal will engage to the trail of the panel in front of it and deploy. The bottom seal is operated once again with the crank tool. Once you have these first two pairs set up, this last panel will operate individually. When you pull this panel out, make sure the top seal is pointed in the lead direction. So with this panel, we're just going to get the top seal close to the panel in front of it, And we're going to start cranking this top hole while holding this handle right here to keep the panel aligned. And as you're cranking the expander nose, it'll bring this panel tight. Once the expander nose is fully engaged, we'll deploy the bottom seal with this bottom hole. We're going to go ahead and break down this paired panel wall now. First things first, you're going to want to bring the top seal up in the expander panel before you start cranking the expander back into the panel. Once the bottom seal is up, you're going to use the top access hole to bring the expander nose in. Once the expander nose is in, you're going to pull the panel out, which is going to deploy the top seal back into the panel, and go ahead and stack the panel. We're going to go ahead and bring these bottom seals up in this next panel by going clockwise. That's going to operate the bottom seals for these two panels. Just pull the panel out until the top seal deploys, and go ahead and stack this pair. Same thing with this last pair, just bring the top seals up, pull the panel out, and that's how you break down the paired panel wall. Alright, we're going to go ahead and break this single panel wall down now. First things first is you're going to want to bring the pass door bottom seals up. Now that the bottom seals are up in the pass door, we're going to shut the door and make our way over to the expander panel. Again, in this bi-parting single panel wall, it doesn't matter which pair you operate first. Bring the bottom seal up before you bring the expander nose in. Once the expander nose is fully cranked, we're going to bring the panel back. Bring the bottom seal up. Now we're going to make our way over to the other section. That's how you set up and break down a bi-parting single panel Encore.